Why is this happening? Yet we are not in the election year. What will happen in 2027 if this is the pace? So we are very concerned. Our security agencies must ensure there is no more lawlessness, particularly coming from their side, because who else has tear gas?
Indeed, a worrying state of affairs in this country at the moment with respect to gatherings. And like I said before the break, it's some of the gatherings, not all, that are subjected to an inordinate amount of violence. And mysteriously, nobody seems to know who's behind this violence and who's done it, and who's held tear gas canisters, who's firing live bullets outside a church or a rally. And now I believe, or I fear, that the word goons has become like the proverbial devil, the devil who's blamed for everything. I ate this, it's the devil made me. I had a bad thought, it's the devil that put the thought in my head. Now it's goons, this mythical figure that just seems to appear everywhere. And nobody, not the police, not the Ministry of Interior, no one. I mean, they're like these ghosts that just come out of nowhere and then...
Actually, there are some thoughts from the Interior Cabinet Secretary, Kipchumba Murkomen. He has ideas of what's happening because he says that he suspects that there are some rogue officers who are colluding with civilians to illegally supply tear gas canisters.
Indeed. Now there's another ghost, rogue officers. Who are they? Can't be that hard to find out who they are. I mean, surely.
And even like when we're watching what was happening in Kitengela, I mean, there was this meeting going on. We have the pictures on here. There we go. You had this whole crowd on the streets with the politicians on top of the vehicles, and then suddenly the chaos, the tear gas. And a 28-year-old man died. Cause of death, gunshot wounds. You have businesses that got disrupted. You have they were showing even bullets that had been fired. And of course, the question to ask is, who has guns in this country? Who has bullets in this country? Who's able to fire them in this country? Political intolerance is a word that's being used a lot lately, because I think a day or two after what we saw in Kitengela, there was another political meeting in Nyamakima, right at the heart of the city. And then there was also tear gas that was thrown, and of course mkutano ulisambaratishwa, as we say in Kiswahili, Yvonne. And then these two meetings were meetings by those who are opposed to the government. The government has had political meetings, like those who support the government. Wamekuwa na mikutano ya kisiasa. We cover them all the time. Yeah. Those meetings go on smoothly. No disruptions. Whatever needs to be said is said.
I mean, even in Lakisama yesterday.
We had the whole day. It went really, really well. Afterwards, of course, we had a story about looting, but that was totally different. Mkutano ulikuwa umeisha. It went well. We see this happening, and I know I keep thinking about even how this weekend we have some rallies in Western, by this other side called Linda Mwananchi. I think even the ODM has another meeting also there.
Which ODM? Sorry.
Yes, samahani. Wale walioko katika broad-based, kuna hao wengine pia. So how will that be? And if this is the trend going forward until 2027, when we are supposed to have official campaign periods ending, because even official campaign periods should not have been going on now. Kila mtu hafai kucampaign saizi, but they all are. Tutakuwa tunaona hivi all the time? Will we be seeing this intolerance? Will we be seeing the tear gas? Will we be seeing more victors dying? Will we be seeing disruption of meetings? Or are we going to let people continue? Because as I said, campaigns hazifai kufanyika saizi, kisheria. But we are seeing them all over the place, both sides. I know you're going to talk a bit more about that in your take. But then, where are we going? Yesterday, there was a meeting by the Center for Multi-Party Democracy, Mzalendo Trust, under the Uchaguzi platform. And they were talking about how they're witnessing election violence during political rallies and why this is happening now and why IBC is not taking any action to disqualify some of these people who are implicated, who are involved. Because we're seeing all these things on video. Tuko na video evidence. Wakitaka kuuliza nani walikuwa katika political rally meetings, the campaigns, wakuje tu tutawapea video. Something needs to happen, Yvonne, because we cannot continue like this. Already it's starting to get stretched a bit too thin, itapasuka,
Yeah.
itakatika, na itawachana, and we'll have maybe more people losing their lives, unfortunately.
Indeed, and Thego Mutai, who's the moderator of the Presbyterian Church of East Africa, PCA, is asking that very same question. We seem to move from one scene of violence to another with very little accountability.
Like what happened in Othaya, nobody has been arrested to date. Are they waiting for us to forget that that happened? Yet it was a very ugly thing. We need people arrested and taken to court, and the due process of the law taking its course.
Now that was Othaya, and then there was Kitengela. Let's listen to Senator Edwin Sifuna on just what happened at his rally on Sunday.
Wakora waliingia kwa stage yetu asubuhi wakavunja mitambo yetu. Ati kutuzuia tusiweze kuongea na nyinyi.
So that's what happened there, and several others have come out to condemn the violence. And I want you to notice as you listen to who's condemning or calling out the violence. It's all coming from one side of the political divider. Let's listen to retired Justice David Maraga.
Those people were having a peaceful meeting. There was no cause whatsoever. There was no breach of peace whatsoever. The government has just panicked.
And Member of Parliament Ndindi Nyoro also had something to say.
But we cannot continue to operate in a situation where people imagine they can manage how Kenyans think and associate using tear gas. That is not going to work.
Right. Now, you see, the people who are calling out the violence are the victims of it and those on the other side of the political divide. You very rarely hear regret for violence caused, regret for injuries, for loss of property or damage to property, loss of lives. That's not what you hear from the other side. Instead, what you hear is lots of this.
Important to report to the police officers in good time. That also was unfortunate that the report was not given to the police officers so they can provide security. People carrying guns from Nairobi, mobilizing them from Machakos to take them to a rally. Why did you go and address the people of that area? Why take it to Kitengela?
Okay, so they seem to know all of these things. They're goons. Remind me, any arrests from the Othaya incident?
None.
Kitengela?
Zero.
Kuna maandamano Ijumaa.
Well, oh yes, tomorrow
By
the party leader for DCP. I mean...
Is that so? I thought I saw a statement from Kalonzo Musyoka saying that they're no longer
they're no longer
the National Police Service.
Going.
I'll get it. Just carry on, JB. I'll get
they
it.
say that they're going for private prosecution of the officers involved because they have their names and identities and all that.
Yeah.
But, Yvonne, it's 2026. There are better ways of dealing with your political opponent rather than using state-sanctioned violence. I doubt if this is what happens in Singapore. Because you can't continuously keep your opponents on the edge for simply trying to sell the agenda that you claim they don't have. Because why do people go for these rallies? Why do people make pitches? It's simply to the public, to their side of thinking, to see their side of reasoning on why they're opposing the current regime. So why don't they be left to do that? And it's interesting to see CS Murkomen Kipchumba indicate that they know that people are being ferried from one place to the other. It tells you they have the intelligence. Why don't they thwart it?
No, but they know only up until the identities of the people. Like that part sort of remains...
Yeah. It's difficult.
Yeah, it's you know, it's like those images where tell us what animal this is. It's a giraffe, but you blacked out the eyes.
Exactly. Click the 4 boxes that has a car, and then you... I mean, the state needs to act better.
Yeah.
There's a place for free and fair contest in our electoral laws, and that needs to be upheld. That is the only way we will look at ourselves as a people and have the moral authority to condemn our neighbors who are doing worse than what we are seeing here. anything short of that, clearly, we are either sliding to that direction or we are already in it, only that the scale has been reduced. I want to challenge the Interior Minister that not all political activities do issue what he calls police notices. I don't think so. I don't think all the impromptu rallies that the president holds, the local police are not.
Does he give notice?
I mean, so if they want to encourage fair contest, then they should let these people converge, speak to the people who love them, adore them, and ultimately the Kenyan people will make that decision. Anything that we are seeing currently is simply sliding us into anarchy, because just like Murkomen says, these guys would start arming themselves, because I see him encouraging it. I see him saying that there are people doing it, ex-police officers and all that. They know they are not acting. What if the scale of that grows? Yeah. What will we be left with as a people?
Linus, state of violence, and like the PCA of the moderator, the moderator of PCA says, what happens as we get closer to an election? It's worrying, isn't it?
Examples world over show that this is not a sustainable model of either earning or retaining political power. And the president himself many times says, wajinga waliisha Kenya, meaning stupid people, fools, are no longer in Kenya. Meaning they can see, Kenyans, even ordinary Kenyans, can see right through that tear gas smoke, and they can see what is going on. When you don't arrest, you have no arrests, and then you want to step out, as CS Murkomen does, to sound tough about some imaginary offenders. Why are they imaginary? If indeed these are goons that you are condemning, you have the state powers to actually arrest them and prosecute them. That is the only way he needs to prove it. But let's address the National Police Service for a moment. The National Police Service has to really make up its mind to decide whether you are a National Police Service or a political militia. Because we've seen this repeating itself over and over again, where in election times and in election scenarios, the police service or a section of it converts itself into some form of militia that acts in favor of a political side. Because this planting of tear gas canisters, this is not anything new. The only thing that they need to realize is this is not a sustainable model. But they also need to understand that in a political democracy like we are, there is a difference between state and government. State is where they sit as police officers. State is in perpetuity. It's supposed to preserve this country as is for generations and generations to come. Meaning your responsibility is greater than term limits. You can't be in 2-term or 1-term. You are in absolutely forever term. You have to make sure that the country is actually in safe hands, in good state, that the country can be passed from one government to another safely with the institutions safe. Now, don't be surprised that a lot of times, same policemen, some of these policemen who engage in these very nasty activities, end up saluting the people they victimize. Well, in the case of Raila, they had to salute a coffin. And I think that happened because some of these things are not sustainable. My last point, Yvonne, and it's something that came up in the discussion here when the Honorable Martha Karua was hosted on Sunday Live, that of what is happening in the region. And if it's probably inspiring some of the political habits that we are seeing in Kenya. You know, in Tanzania, they had something that we cannot sit here and honestly call an election. In Uganda, for the 7th time, they had what I can only actually describe as a civilian coup. That's how they do it, where basically you chase the main presidential contender, make sure he can't address rallies, make sure he can't live in his home for the election, night and even after. By the way, is Bobby Wine back home? I don't know.
No.
Whether he's back home. Now, if these are some of the models inspiring the bad manners we are seeing, whether in Othaya or Kitengela, where the police somehow try to behave like Ugandans, this is Kenya. This model is not sustainable. The last time it was tried, in 2007, we nearly lost this country. We nearly completely lost the country because there is a difference between us and our neighbors. There's a reason we're here and they're not. And that's why for state officers, exercise a bit more restraint, just be the adult in the room. Politics is a competition, and in a multi-party democracy, it means that all the parties must have room to compete very, very in an impartial space, and they should protect those opposition people that are going to meet there in the same way they are protecting the president as he goes around campaigning just as early as the opposition campaigners are also engaging.
And I want us to talk about a bit of the politics now. Because in this country, a lot can happen in a day, in a weekend, in a month. Would you believe that all of this has happened even preceding the violence that we saw on Sunday? There were some events that preceded that, even though, as I understand it, that Kitengela rally had already been planned even before Edwin Sifuna's removal or suspension, shall we say, as Secretary General of the Orange Democratic Movement. This is how it unfolded.
Having deliberated on matters relating to the conduct of the Secretary General, Senator Edwin Sifuna, the NEC resolved to remove him from office with immediate effect in accordance with the party constitution and applicable laws.
And this is why they've made that decision.
The NEC expressed grave concern over the rising levels of indiscipline within the party, particularly at the senior leadership level. The committee underscored that ODM is governed by its constitution, the rule of law, and collective decision-making through its duly constituted organs.
And this is why the Central Committee and the party leader, Dr. Oburu Oginga, are unhappy.
I'm not very happy that when we pass resolutions here, some of the members of this committee, some of the members of the Central Committee, who are policymakers of this party, go out to say exactly the contrary of what we have agreed in committees.
And subsequently, there's a new sheriff in town.
Effectively, the Deputy Secretary General, Honorable me, yours truly, Catherine Omanyo, will act in this position until a substantive holder of the position is elected.
And Honorable me then had an important announcement to make.
The NEC resolved to convene a National Delegates Convention, NDC, in Nairobi on 27th March 2026. The NDC shall, among other agenda items, deliberate on the party's strategic direction, ratify key decisions of the party organs, and prepare ODM for the forthcoming general elections.
So, Jay, perhaps maybe you can look into a crystal ball, if you will, what that NDC will look like, considering the events we've seen thus far, and we're about a little over a month away from that. Now, see what's happened from the time this announcement was made till where we are today. What's that going to look like?
I hope it happens, that is one.
Yep.
And I hope it transacts the business of the party. Suffice to say, I think ahead of that NDC, ODM needs to do a few things, and this is a free advisory to them. One is that the optics needs to be managed better. What we are seeing around ODM is not what usually is supposed to be ODM. It is important to say that I think apart from KANU, I see the other party that I see that is very resilient in this country is ODM. KANU is fizzling out. I hope ODM is not fizzling out. But if that is a possibility, then they need to really reflect and retreat, find out what exactly they need to do to hold together, because that is the only way that they can remain formidable as a political party in this country. That is the only way they can do everything that they're saying they want to do, either the sides that are leading towards Dr. Oburu Oginga, or the side that is now being championed by say Governor James Orengo, Edwin Sifuna, Babu Owino and the like. Ultimately, ahead of 2027, ODM must negotiate for its future. It must negotiate for its future from within. I really don't think they have room to wiggle out of what is happening currently from the position they are in. They must decide that they are going or facing the future as a team or perish as a team.
Those negotiations going forward are interesting because one of those is in this pre-election pact, what seat will who get? And they've openly said, by the way, you know, we're in it and we want to get these positions. But something seems to be troubling ODM at this point, whether it is they want the number 2 seat or not. In December, they said they were going for nothing less. By January, they said, no, don't worry, we don't want that. And then again now, let's listen to Dr. Oburu Oginga, a change of heart again.
Nilisema ya kwamba huyo deputy president hatuna nini chuki na yeye kwa binafsi. Yeye binafsi hatuna maneno naye, lakini hiyo kiti ni kiti ya public. Hiyo kiti ya deputy president ndio tunalenga sana. Hiyo ndio tunalenga.
And these negotiations are happening out in the open because the reactions to that were swift.
As far as we are in broad-based government, as one government or broad-based government, the seat of the deputy president is not negotiable. It has to remain with Professor Kithure Kindiki.
CS Ruku weighed in as well.
Jameni, Oburu 2032 ODM tutaachia kwamba imepata kiti ya naibu wa rais, deputizing Professor Kithure Kindiki, tukimweka pale Ikuru.
Na Kiambaa MPJ?
Hiyo tunasema wakuje juu, waende chini, waende kando, hatuachili. Kama kuna kitu inaweza fanya tutoke kwa hii serikali na hiyo muungano, ni kiti ya namba 2. Tunaambia ODM wa relax.
Member of National Assembly Alice Ng'ang'a also weighed in.
Naibu wa rais usiku na mchana ni Kithure Abraham. How to get a non-negotiable.
And the man in question who currently occupies that seat then had this to say.
Usibabaishwe na mambo kidogo ambao mnasikia hapa na pale. Hii mambo mengine yote ya siasa, sisi ndio mafundi wa siasa, my friend. Usione vile tuko, sisi ndio mafundi wa siasa. Hatuongeangi sana. We know we talk at the right time.
And for avoidance of doubt.
Na musiletewe wasiwasi na mambo madogo yale watu wanaongea, watu wa siasa. Mimi ndio deputy president wa Kenya, na hii kiti hakuna mahali kinaenda, na tukitoka hapa hakuna kurudi nyuma, ni kusonga mbele.
You know, when you look at all those voices, what do they want? Because really, it's very clear who the deputy president is in this country. It's very clear who the president is. It's very clear who the senator of Siaya is. It is very clear who the woman representative for Busia is. And indeed, the member of parliament for Thika or Kiambaa. So what are they telling people? I mean, Kenyans, this is nothing to do with you. And I don't know how many times we need to say this. the next election is in about 17 months, above 16 months. There are real issues that the Kenyans are facing, whether it's collection of garbage in Nairobi, whether it's insecurity in the neighborhoods, whether the question about access to water, access to food in 18 counties. 3.3 million Kenyans are hungry.
Yeah.
But we spend so much time moving about this country to speak about what you want in the next election. Yet they have not even finished the work that they were hired to do in 2022. Because whether it's 1 term or 2 term, a term is 5 years, not 3.5, not 4. It is full 5 years. So really, to listen to this, it's extremely disheartening that our leaders would actually miss the point. Talk to us about Singapore, but do everything else that goes against where Singapore is. I wonder if some of these leaders even know how to locate on the global map. But looking at it, I think there's a serious conversation that is being missed here because it's been 3.5 years and Kenyans have seen what the current elected leaders have done for this country, from the national government to county government to the assemblies to the National Assembly to the Senate. What they've been able to do, the impact their decisions have had on the people, the challenges that Kenyans continue to face, never mind the flowery stories we hear of improvement of the economic indicators. The reality of the matter is there are some challenges that Kenyans are facing in all the areas that I've mentioned, including the education sector. And if generations are not going to think about it, and especially the younger generation, which will continue to insist, the meetings we've seen, and I remember as you were talking about the violence that we witnessed in different parts of the country, the meetings we've seen, there looks to be a reawakening of the young people. These are people who have grown to supporting all the political leaders. If you recall, you will, the 2002 election, the people that voted for Mwai Kibaki, the younger generation that voted for Mwai Kibaki, the first-time voters of 2002, how old are they now?
Right, yeah.
These are millennials, they're in their 40s.
Yeah.
What are they dealing with now? 20 years later, don't look at me, Jamila. What are they dealing with? 24 years later, yeah. They're dealing with real-life situations.
Right. The cost of education.
Just listen to what I'm saying. Yeah. So the
cost
voters,
of education,
the voters of 2002, their parents today,
yes.
the guys who are 18 that time, add some 24 years to that, they are 42.
Yeah.
These are parents of grade 10 learners, the CB classes. They are the ones who are facing these challenges. These are the parents who in urban areas are having to deal with traffic situations. They are taking their children to private institutions. They're opting out of the Kenyan curriculum because they don't have trust in it, because it has been politicized, because they are not sure about the future of their children. And then you come and tell us about Hindio Tunalenga or tell us about 2-term and 1-term. They have real issues that need to be addressed. So if any among them in their generation is going to come and tell them that this, I think, is the direction you should follow, trust me, they are going to listen. Yeah. And any leader who is worth that name, leader, that wants to lead this generation of millennials and Gen Zs, the younger people of this country, if they are not listening to the concerns that people have, if they're not addressing, if they're not thinking about solutions to them, they are better off forgetting the support from this voting bloc. So I would assume that the political class, instead of focusing so much on where is this meeting going or who is attending, who is financing what issues, and planting some funny situations that we've seen in some of these meetings, they're better off resolving. Go write your manifesto and see how you're going to resolve some of these concerns that the younger generation would be talking about.
Indeed. Linus?
This may affect Jamila a bit. Because I think Arsenal last won Premier League one.
We are going there.
Yes, we are.
2-3.
Can some recall?
2-3, 2-4. Yeah?
This is unfair.
Can some recall?
No, he's only read about it.
He'll read about
in
it.
history.
Yes, that's 2004 actually. And ODM was formed in 2005.
Yeah.
That is how long their quest for political power has been.
Thank God.
And there are reasons, and let me be brutally honest here. There are reasons that power evades ODM. First, the party has been cast with very weak negotiators who don't understand that politics is a bone-breaking game. It's ruthless. It's decisive. Because I'm wondering how ODM right now, under the leadership of Dr. Oburu Odinga, is talking about getting the deputy presidency in 2027. Ruthless political operatives would have given ODM a chance at the deputy presidency when they were impeaching Gachagua. What did ODM get for impeaching Rigathi Gachagua? What did it get? It's a question. They got a broad-based government. What did they get for basically backing President Ruto in his weakest point when the Gen Zs were trying to run the government out of town? ODM basically got nothing. What they got was as per the terms that were decided by President Ruto. In 2027, whichever form this arrangement is going to take, if ODM is going to work with UDA, it'll be within the terms of President William Ruto. And I'm sure the next question is, will President William Ruto replace Kindiki Kithure, Professor Kindiki Kithure? Many times he has said, if it's not broken,
don't fix
it. And this is a long shot for Dr. Oburu. Power. It's really a long shot for ODM to think of getting the position of deputy presidency. Because in essence, President Ruto, though he is struggling in what used to be a stronghold that's called Mount Kenya, he's not going to give it up easily. There's a formula that they came up with, which is Mount Kenya East, which is where Professor Kindiki comes from. So Mount Kenya East is about Embu, is about Tharaka Nithi, is about Meru, and that narrative was used quite successfully in the by-elections of Mbeere North. So that UDA has already tested its experiment for 2027. They're looking for the rest of the country, but also find a footing within Mount Kenya. President Ruto is not going to give out Mount Kenya without a fight. And one of the things that he'll do is to actually retain Deputy President Professor Kindiki Kithure as running mate. And there are reasons for that. One is regional. The second one is Kindiki has proved himself a perfect deputy president. Not troublesome. He's not Rigathi Gachagua. He's not shown ambition of his own. He's spoken about the president. He is the deputy president in the mold of the old days, which is you are totally loyal to the president. Why would President Ruto replace Kindiki with who? Dr. Oburu?
Good question.
Yeah.
And maybe one that leaves us leaving some food for thought. Jamila, I've been doing your work for such a long time, so please. Yes.
Though umeongea vibaya kuhusu Arsenal LK, sawa tu, you can finish.
No, it was an illustration.
No, for example.
How do you lose a 2-0 lead? That is Bomas 2022.
Atuende hapo.
Do you want to tell them you also support Arsenal?
I am a fan of Arsenal.
Musizungumze.
And a frustrated fan of Arsenal.
But LK wewe tulikutoa kama shareholder.
But there are a lot of similarities of tactics between ODM and Arsenal.
Tumekutoa.